What's up, everyone? This book cost me about $1,100. It had Stan Lee, Josef Rubinstein, and Chris Claremont's signature already on this book, and it came to me with a cracked case. Now, most people, I think, would have passed, but I saw an opportunity. I sent this in for reholdering, and while it was out of the slab, I also arranged to have Frank Miller sign it too. I mean, to me, that was a no-brainer. So now I have 4 signatures on this book, including one of the most celebrated comic artists of all time. And it's back in a pristine case. And that's the mindset I want to talk about today. Not just, you know, signed comics are cool, which they are, but also I want you to think about how to think about them, like when to move and what I've learned about having these books sitting in my own collection. So, my name is Vince, and I go by really bad comic books on eBay and YouTube and Instagram. And I sell and buy books at comic conventions on eBay privately. I do it as well. And signed books are a huge part of what I collect and invest in. And I want to walk you through the framework I use when I think about buying or investing in a comic book, particularly one that's signed. So let's get into it. So the first scenario, like this one, is one where I grade and signature work together. So you have a high grade book, a 9.8. And a lot of people focus on like when the grade, like having a high grade. And so there are times when the grade matters. And you use the signature to further improve the book. It enhances it in a way. And so, like I said, I mean, this was cracked. And what I wanted to do was like enhance the book as well. If I'm going to get it reholdered, I might as well improve the investment. Now, there's also a huge risk for this. And this to me is one of the most misunderstood decisions in the hobby. Like cracking a 9.8 to get a signature is a gamble, full stop. But when you crack a 9.8 to expose the book for signing, you're accepting that it may not come back as a 9.8. Shit gets messed up when people handle it. There's added spine stress. Maybe there's a fingerprint on the cover. Those things all happen, just by picking up a book. And the question you have to answer before you crack anything is, can you accept the risk? And does the premium from the specific signature on the specific book at this grade justify the signature? And, in my case, it was being reholdered. But, like for instance, I bought a Daredevil 168, first appearance of Elektra. It was a 9.8 newsstand edition. I also have a Wolverine, same scenario. I have a Wolverine 1, from 1988. That's a 9.8, but I did not want to accept the risk. When you look at those books in the case, man, I just was really afraid it wasn't going to come back as a 9.8, and I wasn't afraid about this at all. And I had to have it reholdered anyway, so it really wasn't a huge deal. I mean, it was like, okay, I'm going to accept the risk, and I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. And to have 4 signatures, Stan the Man, Chris Claremont, Joe Rubinstein, and Frank Miller, all on one of the most iconic comic book covers literally ever published. To me, that's not just a signed book. To me, having these signatures on this, it's a piece of history. And that's, in my opinion, why you do it. So the lesson here, when grade matters, and the only way to improve the book is to add a signature, you're building on top of strength. You're standing already on the shoulder of a giant. And so finding high grade copies, adding the right signature at the right moment is important, but don't just crack a 9.8 unless the math genuinely works or you're really sure that's going to come back at a 9.8. Okay. Let's flip this now completely and talk about when the grade doesn't matter at all, where the signature is the asset. So check this out. These are books where I didn't buy the grade. I bought the signature. I bought the artwork. The grade, it's almost besides the point. So Uncanny X-Men 266, the first appearance of Gambit. Don't at me, okay? The first appearance of Gambit. One of the most collected X-Men keys of the modern era, but it's a 9.2. It's not a 9.8. It's not a 9.6. I mean, in raw investment terms, a 9.2 is fine, but it's not like it's a trophy copy. But Andy Kubert signed this book. And I want you to look at that signature. But I also want you to look at the remarque he did. That signature is beautiful, and Andy doesn't get to a lot of conventions anymore, but also that remarque he did of Gambit's head. Man, when I saw this, I knew I had to have it. The penmanship, the placement of the remarque, the way it exists on the cover, man, to me, this is one of the most aesthetically pleasing books I personally own, and I just got it recently. Now, for anyone not familiar, like a remarque, it's a hand-drawn sketch the artist adds directly to the book. Sometimes it's in the border, but sometimes it's on the cover itself. It transforms the comic into like a piece of original art. And so as a result, what you're getting is not a 9.2 book. You're getting a one-of-a-kind drawing. You're getting a one-of-a-kind package here where you have something that you're immensely proud of, and it has nothing to do with the grade. It's the combination of what Kubert put on this book that makes it a one-of-one, a unique copy. Nothing like it. Same philosophy here. Let me show you Detective Comics 439. This is not a key issue. It's not a first appearance. It's not an origin story. It's not a major turning point in the character's history, and it's a CGC 4.0 for Pete's sake. I mean, the thing about it is, but what is interesting about it is that if you'll notice, it says it comes from Neal Adams' personal collection. And he's got the signature on it, which is right down here. But he's also got this remarque here. This remarque of Batman's profile. You can see it right there in black and silver. And this coming from his personal collection. This coming with a drawing by Neal Adams. I mean, just that story of the provenance of the book and the remarque on it. I mean, that the story's part of the object now. The story's part of the comic. Having him sign this from his personal collection is something that where if you're investing in signatures, if you're investing in art, these are the things you need to consider. So stop thinking about signed books as graded book plus autograph. Some of these books, in my opinion, are closer to original art than they are to like investment grade books. You're buying a one-of-a-kind piece, and grade is largely irrelevant when the art itself is the value. Case in point. Buy the signature because it's just fucking beautiful. So third consideration, and this one really kind of sounds simple, but people underestimate it. Buy signatures that are genuinely beautiful. So Dan Quintana, in my opinion, has the most beautiful signature in the business. He signed this absolute Batman 16, and it is, in my opinion, hand on heart, one of the most stunning signatures I've ever seen on a comic book. The line quality, the style, man, there's nothing, in my opinion, that matches this. And when it happens on a book where the original cover artwork, it's sold on heritage auctions for $100K, you've not only got a beautiful signature by one of the most celebrated modern art artists of the day, and it's a book with serious market consideration, with serious context behind it with regard to the original art. Man, that's not just a signature, it's alignment. I mean, but honestly, even without the heritage sale, I still would have bought this book because the signature is just that good. So what to look for? Signatures with a distinctive style, strong line quality, and we're going to talk more about this soon, but intentional signatures. Like the way he signs is intentional. He wants it to be art. He clearly cares about what he puts on the book versus someone just rushing through a convention line. You can tell the difference. And so can the next buyer. Something else. What to look for. I like to look for stuff from like an artist's personal collection, key issues, and also opportunity. So when I'm hunting for signed books, I'm looking for like a few specific things beyond just who signed it. I'm looking for a personal collection. So, for instance, this comes from Frank Miller's personal collection, and it is a hand-drawn sketch of Batman with his signature smoking a cigarette, bro. That's part of this book, and why you have blank sketches or blank copies, blank covers, is so the artist can put their own personal signature on what this book should be. And it adds, in my opinion, a dimension of value that can't be manufactured. And the other obvious thing is like key issues. Like the signature amplifies whatever the book already is. Case in point, you'll see behind me Jim Starlin on Iron Man 55. That's Thanos' first appearance. And that's not a coincidence. That book already has, you want the book and the signature to be telling the same story. But also, when I saw Jim Starlin, by the way, I've never had to wait more than 5 minutes to get Jim Starlin's autograph. I was at Heroes Con just a couple weeks ago, and you can walk right up and get this man's autograph. And that's incredible because this man's a fucking icon. And he signed this Infinity Gauntlet for me, and it's Infinity Gauntlet 4, but it's the perfect, in my opinion, Infinity Gauntlet book to sign because it's got the most room for a remarque. So that's a remarque of Thanos that he created, along with his iconic signature at the bottom. That coupled with like the Iron Man 55, like these are key books that tell a story about one of the most iconic villains in Marvel history. The other one I want to mention is like Bernie Wrightson. Years ago, Bernie Wrightson was at a convention here in Kansas City, and I brought all 4 issues of Batman the Cult. I love this story. This is, to me, one of the most underrated Batman stories ever told. And that combined with Starlin and Wrightson in the same book. And so I got Bernie to sign all four of my, you can see it, Bernie to sign all four of my cults. And he passed away in 2017. So the supply of his signatures is fixed now. And to me, these books have never been more valuable than they are right now. And I believe, truly, that as iconic an artist as Bernie Wrightson is, they'll only become more valuable as time comes on. So, what to take away from this? When a celebrated creator is in the room, you bring your books. You don't wait. You don't assume there'll be another chance. I got one more story for you. I paid a buttload for this book. This is Batman 497. And it's, as you'll see, it's a gem mint 10. So I bought the grade on this for sure. But like in a weird, like series of events, what this also has is a signature and a Batman signed remarque from Jim Lee. Like I don't personally know. This came the way I bought it. I don't personally know why this was signed. I actually asked him. So I met Jim Lee last year at New York Comic Con, and I asked him, "Man, do you remember signing this book?" He was like, "I don't. How could I remember that?" And I'm like, "Do you have any idea why someone would have had you sign this book?" I mean, Kelly Jones. I would love to have Kelly Jones sign this slab. To me, that would bring this whole book full circles to have Kelly Jones sign the slab. But he was like, somebody just put it in front of me and I signed it. That's all. But he had his little Batman remarque there. And to me, it's just this perfect. It doesn't, I don't think it really enhances, but it's like, fuck it. It's Jim Lee, man. And that's what I love about signatures is that like you get the stories of these signatures along with the story of the book and why you bought it. Like, I don't know, but that's part of the story. That's part of what makes this so freaking weird and so freaking amazing at the same time. So, other things to consider. I want you to consider some like specific artists, signatures and remarques. So I found on Heritage a collection of raw Frank Frazetta books that were signed by Frank. And I bought a series of 4 that were all signed, and it said on there, this hasn't been certified as Frank's signature, but look at that son of a bitch. Was there any question that Frank signed this book to you? None. I paid about $200 for these 4 books, one of which I should show you. One of which is so not Frank's signature. Like, it's obviously a fake. But then there were 3 that were just like that. Freaking beautiful, man. Just absolutely beautiful. Frank, this book is probably, without Frank's signature, I don't know, $20. With Frank's signature, I can tell you, because I sold the other, the 2 that were that came with this set, I sold for $800 each. It was around $800. And I know I could get $900 for this, but I'm just kind of not ready to let it go, because it's truly a one-on-one. The supply is fixed, y'all. Frank ain't signing any more books, but he is absolutely an artist to watch. Because I'll tell you, I personally don't think that anything with his signature is going down in price. Another artist to watch, Todd McFarlane. Now, early in his career, Todd was signing his book simply T. McFarlane, quick, minimal. As his legend grew and his time became more scarce, you get from Todd, what you get from Todd now is the full signature. The full Todd. He gives you the full Todd. Complete name, distinctive, deliberate. And it's also what I loved about this and why I bought this particular book is because of the green ink. Like intention of the artist matters. He wanted to sign this in fucking green. Because it matches the Spawn title on the cover. Man, that detail matters. That ink choice was intentional. This isn't a signed book. It's a signed book with intention behind it. And the lesson from McFarlane is understand how an artist signs, what period their signature is from. Earlier signatures, in my opinion, are going to be less valuable because we got the full Todd now. And using his full signatures from Todd are not the same now. It's a completely different asset. So keep that in mind as you consider books from Todd. Now, one of the last ones I'll show you is Rob Liefeld. Now, Rob, listen, his signature, you can see right here by my pinky. His signature, in my opinion, it's not that special. But the blood chiseled remarque he does, that's a completely different conversation. This is my Youngblood 100 with his blood chiseled remarque. The detail, the style, the way it integrates with the book, man, it transforms this. It makes it different. And it makes it, in my opinion, more collectible than just a standard signature. I mean, if you have an opportunity to get a remarque, get the fucking remarque. That's the way to go. It's worth it. Because the idea is that you take this off of just being a commodity that's worth whatever you pay for a 9.8 in a blue label, makes it special. It makes it unique. It makes it almost a one of one. Now, I have a couple of interesting stories about stuff that I've not graded, but I did get signed. First of all, man, Tom Rainey, I hung out with Todd Rainey when he came to Kansas City because he knows some friends of mine. And I got to have dinner with him. We got to hang out. It was awesome. And I didn't have any books by Tom. And so I went out when I saw him at Heroes. Before that, I went on to eBay and I bought this Mutant X. It was high. It's high grade. But I got it for maybe $5. But this to me is special because I brought it to Heroes to have Tom Rainey sign it. And I love just the Rainey in the middle of Mutant X, no less. I love this. Second one, I also had signed at Heroes. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Praised be his name. I had him sign this book. I'm a huge Bronze Age horror fan too. And, he didn't do a ton of Bronze Age horror, but he did some. And he did this book. And what I wanted him to do is sign Praised Be My Name. and he can barely talk. And I think he can barely understand English. But when I told him what I wanted, he was like, oh, No. No. But this means a lot to me because first of all, he was a very sweet man. I loved meeting him. I loved having that conversation with him. In spite of the fact he told me no. And by the way, don't press it. Don't press it. If he don't want to do something, don't bug him. Just ask what you want. If he doesn't give it to you, fine. It's fine. You'll live. So anyway, sometimes you get shit signed just because you love it or you love the artist. So here's the framework pulled from books I actually own. 1, when grade matters, use the signature to enhance an already strong book. But respect the risk of like cracking those high grade slabs. Just make sure the math works. 2, when grade doesn't matter, you're buying original art. There's a signature. The remarque is the asset. Grade could be background noise. 3, buy signatures that are genuinely beautiful. Aesthetic quality has true market value, in my opinion. 4, prioritize artist personal collection because it gives you immediate provenance. And take advantage of those key issues and signing opportunities when they're in front of you. Bernie Wrightson taught me that last one. 5, know your artist. Understand how they sign, what the remarques look like, and what version of their signature you're actually buying. I waited in line for Chris Claremont at Baltimore Comic-Con last year for 3.5 hours. And it was a joy. I'd do it again because I love the artist. And I'm so happy to have his signature on one of my books. Lastly, in my opinion, signed books are one of the most interesting corners of this market because you're combining investment thinking with genuine connoisseurship. You're a connoisseur, motherfucker. You're taking advantage of what you believe is valuable and you're bringing it into your collection. You're bringing it into your portfolio. The best ones, they aren't just assets. They're objects worth owning. And last thing, if you want me to dig into any of these books specifically, drop a comment. If you're sitting on signed books you're trying to evaluate, tell me what you got. Like and subscribe, y'all. I'm Vince, Really Bad Comic Books, the intelligent comic book investor. I will see you next time. Cheers.